What if I told you that we know more about the surface of Mars than we do about our own ocean floor? What if I told you that right now, miles beneath the waves, there are creatures so alien they could have evolved on a different planet entirely? And what if I told you that the deepest parts of our oceans might hold the secret to understanding life itself, not just on Earth, but throughout the entire universe? You think space is the final frontier? Think again. The real alien world isn't 140 million miles away on Mars. It's right here, covering 71% of our planet, and we've explored less than 5% of it. Welcome to Space Prime. I'm your host, and today we're diving into the most unexplored realm on Earth, our oceans. Because what we're discovering down there isn't just changing marine biology, it's rewriting the rules of what we thought was possible for life anywhere in the cosmos. Prepare to have your mind blown by the alien world beneath our feet, the alien ocean floor. Let's start with a reality check that should fundamentally change how you think about exploration and discovery. We have detailed maps of Venus, a planet shrouded in toxic clouds 25 million miles away. We have high-resolution images of Pluto, a dwarf planet 3 billion miles from Earth. But more than 80% of our ocean floor remains completely unmapped and unexplored. To put this in perspective, if aliens visited Earth and wanted to understand what lived here, they would get a better picture by studying our space missions to other planets than by looking at what we know about our own deep sea. Why? Because our oceans aren't just deep, they're impossibly, crushingly, mind-bendingly deep. The average ocean depth is 2.3 miles, but the deepest parts plunge down nearly 7 miles. At those depths, the water pressure is over 1,000 times greater than at sea level. That's like having the weight of 50 jumbo jets pressing down on every square inch of surface. Most life on Earth couldn't survive even a fraction of that pressure. Most life on Earth couldn't survive in water that's near freezing, completely dark, and devoid of oxygen. Most life on Earth would die instantly in an environment that toxic and hostile. But here's the thing that keeps marine biologists awake at night. The deep ocean isn't empty. It's teeming with life, not just surviving, but thriving in conditions so extreme they make the surface of Mars look comfortable. And these aren't just weird fish we're talking about. These are creatures so bizarre, so fundamentally different from anything on the surface, that they're forcing scientists to reconsider what life actually is and how far it can be pushed before it breaks. The immortal jellyfish revolution. Let me introduce you to Turritopsis dohrnii, a jellyfish that has solved the one problem that has plagued every living thing since life began: death. This tiny jellyfish, no bigger than your pinky nail, has achieved biological immortality. Not the kind of immortality we see in movies, where something just refuses to die. True biological immortality, the ability to reverse its aging process and return to its juvenile state whenever it faces stress, injury, or old age. When most organisms age, their cells deteriorate and eventually fail. When Turritopsis dohrnii ages, it simply rewinds itself back to childhood and starts over. It's like having a reset button for your entire biological system. But here's what makes this discovery absolutely revolutionary. This jellyfish might hold the key to understanding aging throughout the universe. Every complex organism we know of ages and dies. Every complex organism except this one. And if biological immortality can evolve once, it can evolve again. Scientists are now studying Turritopsis dohrnii, not just to understand marine biology, but to unlock the fundamental mechanisms of aging itself. The genes that control this immortality process might exist in other organisms, including humans, just waiting to be activated. And here's the cosmic implication that should blow your mind. If life exists elsewhere in the universe, some of it might be immortal too. We've been searching for signs of alien civilizations, assuming they experience birth, growth, and death like we do. But what if some alien life forms discovered biological immortality millions of years ago? What if the reason we haven't found evidence of ancient civilizations isn't because they died out, but because they're still here, still evolving, still growing more complex after millions of years of continuous development? the volcanic ecosystem that shouldn't exist. Now let's talk about hydrothermal vents, underwater volcanoes that have created ecosystems so impossible they've forced scientists to rewrite biology textbooks. For most of Earth's history, we believed that all life depended on the sun. Plants capture solar energy through photosynthesis. Herbivores eat plants. Carnivores eat herbivores. It's a neat little chain that traces back to our star. This was considered a universal truth about life. Then we discovered hydrothermal vents, and that universal truth exploded like an underwater volcano. These vents spew water heated to over 750 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. They pump out hydrogen sulfide, a gas so toxic it would kill most surface life in minutes. They exist in complete darkness, miles underwater, under crushing pressure that would flatten a human instantly. By every rule of biology we knew, these places should be dead zones. Instead, they're oases of life more diverse and abundant than tropical rainforests. Giant tube worms, some over 8 feet long, cluster around these vents with no mouths, no stomachs, no way to eat anything. Instead, they have symbiotic relationships with bacteria that convert toxic chemicals into energy through a process called chemosynthesis. These creatures have figured out how to eat poison and turn it into food. We're talking about an entire ecosystem that has never seen sunlight, never depended on photosynthesis, never followed any of the rules we thought governed life on Earth. And it's not just surviving, it's thriving with a complexity that rivals any ecosystem on the surface. But here's the part that should terrify and excite you in equal measure. If life this alien can evolve on Earth in conditions this extreme, then the possibilities for life elsewhere in the universe just expanded by orders of magnitude. Every frozen moon, every hostile planet, every environment we previously wrote off as uninhabitable might be teeming with life forms we never imagined. The Deep Sea Alien Zoo. Speaking of life forms we never imagined, let's take a tour through the deep ocean's collection of creatures that look like they were designed by aliens with a very twisted sense of humor. Meet the blobfish, a gelatinous mass that looks like a pink blob of jelly when brought to the surface, but transforms into a normal-looking fish at depth. Its entire body is essentially a pressure suit made of flesh, perfectly adapted to exist where the water pressure would crush most life forms instantly. Then there's the vampire squid, which isn't actually a squid or a vampire, but something so unique it required its own taxonomic order. When threatened, it turns itself inside out, covering its body with bioluminescent spines that pulse with blue light. It's like a living constellation that can rearrange itself at will. Or consider the giant isopod, a deep-sea relative of the pillbugs you find in your garden. Except these grew to the size of footballs and developed the ability to go without food for over 4 years. They're basically armored tanks with the metabolism of a hibernating bear. But the real stars of this alien zoo are the creatures that make their own light. Over 80% of deep-sea life is bioluminescent. They create their own illumination through chemical reactions that are more efficient than any light bulb humans have ever invented. The anglerfish dangles a glowing lure to attract prey in the eternal darkness. The Atala jellyfish creates a burglar alarm of spinning light when attacked, hoping to attract predators that will eat whatever is attacking it. Deep-sea mushrooms, yes, mushrooms, glow with ethereal light for reasons we still don't understand. We're talking about an entire ecosystem that has evolved to communicate, hunt, and survive using living light. It's like discovering that half the life on Earth has been secretly operating a biological internet made of bioluminescence, and we're just now learning how to read the code. The microbial metropolis. But all of these charismatic creatures, the giant tube worms, the blobfish, the vampire squid, they're just the celebrities. The real story of ocean life is written in microscopic letters by organisms so small you need advanced equipment just to know they exist. A single drop of seawater contains millions of bacteria, viruses, and microorganisms. That's not an exaggeration. Millions. In one drop, the ocean contains more microbial life than there are stars in the observable universe. And these aren't just random microbes floating around doing nothing. They're running the planet. Marine bacteria bacteria produce over half the oxygen you're breathing right now. They process more carbon than all the rainforests on Earth combined. They break down dead organic matter and recycle nutrients throughout the entire food web. Without ocean microbes, complex life on Earth would cease to exist within months. But here's where it gets truly mind-bending. We've only identified and studied about 1% of marine microbial species. We're swimming in an ocean of microscopic life forms that we don't understand, can't classify, and in many cases, can't even detect with current technology. Recent advances in genetic sequencing have revealed that many of these microorganisms are using biochemical processes we've never seen before. Some are producing compounds that don't match any known biological pathway. Others are metabolizing chemicals we didn't think life could use as food. We're essentially discovering that our planet is home to forms of life so alien and diverse that they're expanding our definition of what life actually is. And if this level of biological diversity exists in Earth's oceans, imagine what might be swimming in the subsurface oceans of Europa, Enceladus, or Titan. The climate control system. Now let's talk about something that directly affects every person watching this video: the ocean's role as Earth's climate control system. You probably know that oceans absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. What you might not know is just how much heavy lifting our oceans are doing to keep our planet habitable. The oceans have absorbed about 30% of all the carbon dioxide humans have pumped into the atmosphere since the Industrial Revolution. Without this oceanic carbon sink, atmospheric CO2 levels would be catastrophically higher, and global temperatures would have risen much faster than they have. But the oceans don't just absorb carbon dioxide passively. Marine organisms actively pump carbon from the surface to the deep sea through something called the biological pump. Phytoplankton absorb CO2 during photosynthesis, then sink to the ocean floor when they die, effectively sequestering that carbon for centuries or millennia. The scale of this operation is staggering. Marine phytoplankton, organisms so small you can barely see them, process more carbon than all terrestrial plants combined. These tiny organisms are literally controlling Earth's climate, and most people don't even know they exist. But here's the part that should keep you awake at night. This system is incredibly delicate. Ocean acidification from increased CO2 absorption is making it harder for shell-forming organisms to build their protective structures. Rising temperatures are disrupting ocean currents that distribute nutrients to phytoplankton. We're essentially stress testing the biological life support system that keeps our planet habitable, and we're doing it while understanding less than 5% of how that system actually works. So here's the truth about life in our oceans that should fundamentally change how you think about our planet. We're not living on a terrestrial world with some water around the edges. We're living on an ocean planet with some dry patches scattered on top. The real Earth, the biodiverse, complex, climate-controlling Earth, exists beneath the waves, and we've barely begun to explore it. Every deep-sea expedition reveals new species, new ecosystems, new biological processes that challenge everything we thought we knew about life. We're discovering organisms that are redefining the limits of where and how life can exist, not just on Earth, but potentially throughout the universe. The next time someone talks about the search for alien life, remind them that we're swimming on top of the most alien ecosystem on our planet. The creatures living in our deep oceans are so bizarre, so adapted to extreme conditions, so fundamentally different from surface life that they might as well be from another world. And they're teaching us that life is far stranger, far more adaptable, and far more persistent than we ever imagined. What aspect of ocean life fascinates you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to dive deeper into the mysteries of our blue planet, subscribe to Space Prime and hit that notification bell, because our oceans are still full of surprises, and we're just getting started with the exploration. Thanks for watching Space Prime. Until next time, keep exploring the unknown.